Hello there, my lovelies. How are we doing? My name's Boomy and you're watching my channel, Boomy Reactions. Now today, guys, I suppose this is a bit of a history video that I'd like to share with you today. So this video has been requested through Buy Me a Coffee, and this request comes from Carlitos. Hello, my lovely. Thank you for your support. Now, Carlitos says, hey, Boomy, guess who? Hey. I hope life is treating you well. I wish you nothing but blessings and prosperity in your life. Thank you so much. And you, my friend. I wish you the same. That's so lovely. Curious, what kind of coffee do you buy? Is there a specific order you enjoy, or do you change it up every so often? Do tell. Well, you know what I'm like for chitter-chatter. Since you asked so, Carlitos, I'm favouring a Brazilian coffee at the minute. It's a whole bean coffee that I buy. I think it's a medium roast. And I normally whip that into a macchiato. A caramel macchiato is my coffee of choice. Extra sweet, extra strong. And it keeps me a little bit perked up for the rest of the day. Since you ask, what's your favourite coffee? Thank you so much. Anywho, I digress. Since you liked the last video request, I have another one from Popo Medic. Thank you. This one's a legendary story from the accounts of the 1992 LA riots. Right. I was wondering, I saw the title of the video here. So the title of this video is How Roof Koreans Took Back Los Angeles, featuring Donut Operator. Donut Operator. So this is an account from the 1992 LA riots. Now, I'm going to hold my hand up and say, I don't actually know an awful lot about these riots. So what caused them? What happened? You know, what were the events that led up to the riots? I have no idea. So hopefully they'll tell us all about it in this video. And guys, if you are enjoying these reactions, don't forget to like and subscribe, or ask how I take my coffee. I have a Buy Me a Coffee account. The link is over here. And if you would like to help support my channel any further, I have a Patreon account. And if you want to check that out at all, that link is in the description just below there. Right, okay. Teach me all about the LA riots from 1992.
Wednesday, April 29th, 1992.
Okay.
Chaos erupts in the streets of Los Angeles as tens of thousands of looters pillage the city. And with emergency services unavailable, business owners were left to fend for themselves. And out of all the stories told of the infamous 1992 LA riots, none have scratched the surface between myth and legend, like the story of a group of Korean immigrants taking arms on rooftops.
Oh! Roof Koreans. Okay. Oh, like I asked earlier, what led up to the riots? You know, civil unrest doesn't come about for no reason. There must have been something, or like maybe a handful of events that led up to this. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you wouldn't mind.
Is that story?
Oh, maybe Popo Medic is going to tell me. Okay. So where was the law enforcement? Busy, maybe. Very busy. How have I never heard of these riots? Sounding music in the build up here.
Hi everyone, Donut here. The wait is over. I finally got around to making the Roof Korean video after years of anticipation. Just kidding, here's Popo Medic.
In April of 1992,
Who's the donut? Who's featuring Donut?
4 LAPD officers were tried following one of the most controversial excessive force incidents in American history. And after the Rodney King verdict was read, all 4 officers were acquitted, resulting in immediate protest.
Earlier, we had quite a scene where protesters did storm the doors of Parker Center.
The protest started out peaceful, But at approximately 4:15 p.m., a group of men approached the Payless Liquor and Deli on Florence Avenue. The men walked into the liquor store, grabbed whatever the fuck they wanted, and walked out with no intention of paying. Two of the men smashed the liquor store's front door, and another man struck the store owner's son with a beer bottle, rendering him unconscious. 911 was dialed, and two officers from the 77th Street Division of the LAPD responded, finding that the offenders had left upon arrival. And while making checks in the area for the offenders, a young man threw an object at their car. Approximately 24 officers, commanded by LAPD Lieutenant Michael Mullen, arrived and arrested the teenager. But the teenager put up a fight and resisted arrest.
So there's an escalation, like a handful of events that can be traced back to these 4 police officers being acquitted from assaulting a gentleman here. Is that am I right? Is that what happened? And I understand there's tensions at this point with law enforcement. I understand it's provoking mistrust and just general, a general sense of unease and not being very happy about the local law enforcement here. I get that. But this, breaking into a liquor store, not breaking in, you know what I mean. No, like taking anger out on the wrong people. Why?
The teenager was a well-known minor in the community, further agitating a mass crowd of people who witnessed the arrest. The police formed a perimeter around the arresting officers as the crowd grew more hostile, leading to further altercations and arrests. And fearing the situation could potentially escalate to a life-threatening situation or the use of deadly force, Lieutenant Mullen ordered officers out of the area altogether.
It's a vicious cycle, isn't it, really? So am I right in thinking as well that the 4 policemen initially in the original event here, this is a brute force case? There's no need to manhandle. Yeah. And naturally, the crowd here are maybe worried that something similar is going to happen, and it's a minor. Okay, it's tough. I'm not defending either side. I know. But trying to understand the mentality, and you would, wouldn't you? If there's already an element of mistrust going on in the police, brutality, naturally you're going to be worried that something similar is going to happen. And this chap here is much younger.
And by 6 p.m., the looting began on mass scale.
Jumping on the bandwagon.
Rampaging protesters looted businesses in South Central Los Angeles, setting dozens of fires. One fireman has been shot.
The crowd began to turn physically violent, seriously injuring bystanders and other members within the crowd, absolutely polarizing the community and devastating business owners.
There's no justification for that. At this point, they're just looting. It's just jumping on the bandwagon, isn't it? I understand civil unrest. Absolutely. I understand the feelings towards the police. But what you're doing is in self-interest. You're not protesting. You're not trying to prove a point. All you're doing is jumping on the bandwagon, taking advantage of hostilities and civil unrest, and you're looting. And not only that, but you're harming bystanders and civilians. It's not okay.
It's not right.
It's not right. No, you're right. You're right.
It's not right what y'all doing.
Exactly.
I came from the ghetto too. Same as all of you did.
Taking advantage of a bad situation. There's no justification for that.
The growing number of rioters in the streets began attacking civilians, throwing debris at cars, pulling people from their vehicles, smashing shop windows, and setting them on fire.
What? Oh my gosh. No! That's barbaric. Why? Again, I understand initial feelings of anger and mistrust, but you can't act like that. You can't hurt people. You can't do that. What's shocking is that there's clearly quite a volume of people doing it. You're not talking about a handful of people. It sounds like there's quite a few people acting like this. So hateful.
Chaos had sent shockwaves into the living rooms of millions of Americans across the nation, as a Chinese immigrant by the name of Choi Si-choi and a trucker named Reginald Denny, who was delivering gravel for the construction of low-income housing, were both horrifically attacked during live coverage of the riots. At approximately 7:15 p.m., as reports of vandalism, looting, and physical attacks continued to come in, Lieutenant Mullen elected to take the information but not respond. Mullen was later relieved by a captain, ordering officers only to assess the Florence and Normandy area. And at 12:15 a.m., Mayor Bradley signed an order for a dusk to dawn curfew, as well as declaring a state of emergency for the city of Los Angeles.
Oh my gosh, that must have been absolutely terrifying. Any viewers out there that witnessed this or lived through it, if you lived in LA during this time, let me know if you wouldn't mind. What was that like? I can only imagine that must be so scary. There must be a part of you that feels like your community or, you know, your city has turned. Oh my gosh. I'm going to pause it again very, very quickly, swiftly after that. Why did the law enforcement decide to not action these complaints? It is their job. I understand because of the nature of the civil unrest, law enforcers are going to be in a dangerous position. However, it is your job to manage civil unrest. How can you justify that?
And on the following day, by mid-morning, violence appeared widespread, as extensive looting and arson was witnessed across Los Angeles County. The rioting moved from South Central Los Angeles, going north through Central Los Angeles, decimating the neighborhoods as far as Westlake to Fairfax, before reaching Hollywood. The looting and fires engulfed Hollywood Boulevard, and simultaneously rioting moved west into neighboring independent cities of Compton, Carson, and Long Beach. You might even remember Long Beach native Bradley Noel singing about it on Sublime's self-titled album.
First spot we hit it was my liquor store.
R.I.P. Bradley Noel, fucking legend. From Olympic Street to 120th Street laid the forefront of many small family-owned local businesses, primarily owned by first-generation Korean immigrants, many of whom escaped from North Korea into South Korea before immigrating to the United States. Many of whom were formerly voluntold soldiers who knew how to fight. And the fight came to Koreatown rather swiftly, as rioters moved up north from Florence and Normandy with a newfound thirst for looting. At 11,
I don't think you want to loot these stores. You're picking a fight with the wrong people. Okay,
11:30 a.m., one employee of a local gun store, David Jew, was working behind the counter when the shop phone rang. It was a phone call from his employer, Richard Park, who owned another store a few doors down. Richard informed David that he was at the nearby shop and in the middle of a gunfight. David locked up the gun store, ran across the parking lot, armed with a Beretta. When he arrived, he heard gunshots, at which point looters from across the street made their way to the gun shop plaza and opened fire on Richard and David. But when the two men fired back, the assailants fled the area immediately. Word quickly spread throughout Koreatown that this method had worked, in not only protecting Richard's property, but his life. Korean business owners who caught word of this began to phone in a Los Angeles-based radio station called Radio Korea, pleading to the radio station's audience for an armed response to help protect their property.
Everybody parked in a street, took some everything, liquor, beer.
When you got here, you said people were still inside the store. What did you do?
Still inside. I shut 8 times, everybody moved.
A merchant guarding his property. You got anybody out there or just a shop?
Rick Romero out here. All of the merchants here are not going to wait for the National Guard or police or anybody else. You talked about guerrilla warfare, and it's right here, right on the premises here. Just about every one of the individuals in this.
Radio Korea quickly became dubbed Koreatown's makeshift command center, warning listeners of the whereabouts of incoming looters, and offered itself as a 911 system, allowing shop owners to call out for help over the air. After the realization sank in, there would be no response from police, fire, or EMS, already stretched too thin, responding to thousands of ongoing emergencies.
I mean, what else can you do? You've backed into a corner. You know the law enforcement's not coming because they are overstretched. Okay. It must have felt apocalyptic. What can you do?
라고 있습니까? 아니 똑같게 거기는 남자 옷이에요. 남자 옷 거기. 네, 거기 탔어요? 네, 거기가 지금 불타고 있어요.
We need additional guard in here.
We have no police support whatsoever. People are driving by shooting at us, and we have to do something about it.
A local resident by the name of Ina Cho and president of the Korean Veterans Association in 1992 was listening to the broadcast and decided to call in a little broadcast of his own, requesting all Korean Marine Corps veterans to respond to the area. Soon after, a group of around 15 Korean Marine Corps veterans arrived, equipped with rifles and rendezvoused with Cho. The men
Holy moly. I know there's only 15 of these gents, isn't there? But something tells me 15 of these lads is going to be worth a lot more.
responded to a large electronics warehouse, Kim's TV, where Radio Korea was broadcasting that a mob of looters were attempting to break in. The warehouse had an iron door, which the mob was beating and ramming with a truck. When the mob finally took down the door, Cho attempted to stop the looters who were sprinting inside when two vehicles with a combined occupation of 10 people got out of their cars and opened fire on Cho, hitting him one time. Richard Kim, whose parents owned the electronics store, armed himself with a semi-automatic rifle. As the warehouse was under fire, his mother suffered a gunshot wound while trying to shield his father. And as more Koreans became injured, more and more Koreans took up arms, taking positions on rooftops for maximum tactical advantage. Not only did they have the high ground and could see everything from the roof, but parapets made for the perfect cover from incoming fire. And
like that little Star Wars reference there, the high ground, yeah, I saw it.
These firefights were televised.
More familiar with weaponry than I am. He says it looks to be a 9mm Uzi.
Where Korean shopkeepers could be seen armed with M1 carbines, Ruger Mini-14s, pump-action shotguns, handguns, and Daewoo K1A1s. Like, look at this dude's loadout. He's got a red polo t-shirt and a Daewoo K1A1.
And a big smile on his face.
I mean, come on. One of the most iconic photographs of roof Koreans happened at a small grocery store called California Market. The owner fortified his store with 20 well-armed employees and volunteers, all of whom were wearing white headbands. They were
wonder if that was part of the hiring criteria.
Often shooting blanks or discharging warning shots into the air, which is dumb. You gotta wonder where those went, you know? But their methods worked, as looters scattered, fleeing the area as quickly as they could.
It's effective.
On May 3rd, after 4 days of exchanging gunfire with armed looters, the rooftop Koreans successfully forced every single wave of remaining mobs out of Koreatown, saving countless lives and livelihoods in which the Korean American identity was born.
Good job, fellas.
And on that same day, over 1,100 Marines and 6,500 National Guard troops patrolled the streets of Los Angeles, putting an end to the chaos.
Oh, what a job that must have been.
If it wasn't for a few brave men who stood up against their opposers, Koreatown would have been unsalvageable. The nearly week-long rioting killed more than 60 people, injuring more than 2,300, and caused approximately $1 billion in damage, half of which was sustained by Korean-owned businesses. Korean Americans have come to refer to the 1992 uprising as Saigu, which translates to April 29th, a day Koreans will never forget.
Feeling targeted and abandoned.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more of these videos in the works and you don't want to miss them. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Show Popo Medic some love. Go and like and subscribe. I am really, really enjoying these videos from this channel. $1 billion worth of damage. Is that $1 billion as it was back then in 92? Or is it the equivalent of what $1 billion would look like now? There's quite a difference, isn't there? And most of that damage was sustained by Korean business owners. You know, when they read that statement at the end, I was quick to initially say, oh no, it's not targeted directly at Korean Americans, but I suppose it must have felt very heavily like it was. so sad. But holy moly, did they defend Koreatown? Oh my gosh. Excellent job, guys. But you must have felt so abandoned. And it's a tough one because, you know, the forces are going to be very, very stretched. Very, very thin. Because it sounds like there was an awful lot of rioting going on as well. I mean, it sounds like a stupid flyaway statement for me to just sit here and say, it's not okay. Of course it's not okay. Barbaric. And you feel ashamed of yourselves if you partook in that. Honestly, I understand the initial feelings. I do. I think, you know, the mistrust of the police and, you know, I get it. But then to act out on that anger and that hatred, but it feels like it's targeted at much more vulnerable people and civilians, because I suppose the people who you're angry at aren't listening to you either. But that's no justification for looting. Innocent people are going to just be more damaged by it. Oh my gosh, it makes me angry. I'm sure you can tell I have very little experience of riots. Or, yeah, okay. That's very sad. So how long did the riots go on for in total? $1 billion worth of damage. I can't comprehend. If that was $1 billion, the value of $1 billion in 92, I can't even imagine what scale of damage that looks like now. It's awful. Guys, I know I asked earlier, but if you witnessed, if you lived in LA at the time, I can imagine that was awful. If you wouldn't mind sharing your experience, my heart absolutely goes out to all the victims here and just everyone who lived in the city. It's you must have felt like your community, your city was very divided, and oh, it's awful. Very interesting. Absolutely just the height of badassery. Those Korean chaps there. Well done. Sometimes, I mean, what else can you do? Sometimes it's not always the answer to have to take the law into your own hands, but at that point, what options do you have? You've got to defend what is yours. I just can't imagine. Carlitos, thank you very much for requesting this very, very interesting video, my lovely. Such badasses as well. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching along with me. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.